All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most misunderstood topics out there right now: artificial intelligence. What is this thing that's changing everything? Let's find out. Okay, so what is artificial intelligence for real? I mean, you hear the term thrown around constantly, right? It's in the movies, it's on your phone, but what are we actually talking about? Let's break it down. Fundamentally, AI is all about making machines that can think, or at least act like they can. Things like solving problems, learning new stuff, making decisions, all the things we usually need a human brain for. The big idea is to mimic those human smarts, but inside a computer. So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. This isn't some kind of magic wand. AI is pure engineering and math. It's built on rules and logic, not spells and potions. And here's a really important point. AI isn't about building a squishy biological brain in a jar. Nope. It's about simulating the logic of a brain using math. It takes stuff like words and pictures, turns them into numbers, and then gets really, really good at finding the patterns in those numbers. The idea of AI has been around for a while. The term itself was coined way back in 1956, but man, has the pace picked up. Think about it. In 1997, a computer beating the world chess champion was this huge, mind-blowing event. Then, boom, 2011, and suddenly millions of us have Siri in our pockets. And then just a few years ago, stuff like GPT-3 comes along and completely changes the game for what we thought was possible with language. It's just wild how fast things are moving. Okay, so if it's all just math, how in the world does an AI learn anything? Well, it's not as mystical as it sounds. It really comes down to a simple three-step process. Let's use an analogy. First, you need the data. Think of this as all the textbooks, articles, and pictures a student could ever read. It's the raw information. Second, you need an algorithm. This is like the study plan. It's the set of rules that tells the machine how to read all those textbooks and what to look for, the patterns. And finally, you get the model. That's the result. It's the brain that has learned from all that data, ready to ace the test, or, make a prediction. Now, here's where people can get a little confused. AI isn't just one monolithic thing. It's actually a bunch of different fields kind of nested inside each other. The best way to picture it, think of those Russian Matryoshka dolls. So that biggest outer doll, that's artificial intelligence, the whole shebang. You open it up, and inside you find machine learning. That's the part specifically focused on teaching computers to learn from data. And then inside that doll, you find deep learning. This is a super powerful type of machine learning that uses things called neural networks, which are kind of modeled after the human brain. So, what's the real difference between machine learning and deep learning? Think of it this way. Regular machine learning is awesome with neat, organized data, like a spreadsheet. But you often have to tell it, hey, look at this column, this is important. Deep learning, however, is a beast with messy stuff. Images, audio, huge blocks of text. It can figure out what's important all by itself. The trade-off? It needs way more data and a ton of computing power. And it doesn't stop there. There are other major players. You've got natural language processing, or NLP. That's the magic that lets computers understand and even talk back to us in our own language. Think chatbots or translation apps. Then there's computer vision, which is exactly what it sounds like, giving computers eyes to see and understand images and videos. You literally can't have self-driving cars without it. Okay, that's a lot of theory. But where does this stuff actually show up in our lives? Well, the answer is pretty much everywhere. This isn't sci-fi anymore. It's right there on your phone. Seriously, you probably use AI dozens of times a day without even realizing it. Asking Siri or Alexa a question? That's AI. Netflix knowing exactly what show you want to binge next? That's AI. And all these new generative tools that can write essays or create incredible art, like ChatGPT and DALL-E, that's AI in a big, big way. But it goes way beyond just our phones and TVs. This stuff is transforming huge industries. In healthcare, it's spotting diseases in scans sometimes better than a human can. In finance, it's catching fraud before you even know your card was stolen. Retail, cars, you name it. And what's really cool is how they mix and match these different types of AI to get the job done. All right, so this all sounds amazing. But that brings us to the really important part of the conversation. With all this power and opportunity comes a whole lot of responsibility and some pretty tough questions we need to ask. Here's one of the biggest ethical hurdles. An AI is only as good as the data you feed it. If that data is biased or just plain wrong, then the AI is going to make biased or wrong decisions. It's the ultimate garbage in, garbage out problem. Making sure that data is fair and accurate is, well, it's a massive challenge. And of course, everyone's asking, what about our jobs? And look, it's a classic double-edged sword. For sure, some repetitive jobs are at risk because of automation. But, and this is a big but, it's also creating a ton of brand new jobs that didn't even exist a few years ago. It's not just about jobs disappearing, it's about the very nature of work itself changing. And the economic upside here is just staggering. When AI is used to help people in their jobs, not replace them, we're talking about a potential productivity boost of almost 5 times. So naturally, that creates a massive demand for people who actually know this stuff. If you've got AI skills, you could be looking at earning up to 25% more than someone who doesn't. And if we zoom all the way out, just generative AI by itself could inject something like $4.4 trillion into the global economy every single year. I mean, that number is so big, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. So, what's the bottom line here? It's that AI is not just another app on your phone or a new piece of software. It's not a hammer. It's a technology that can learn and adapt. And because of that, we absolutely have to think about ethics and responsibility from the very first line of code. And that leaves us with one final thought for you. This technology is already reshaping our world, and it's just getting started. So the question is, are you going to sit on the sidelines and just watch it happen? Or are you going to be an active, informed part of the conversation? The future's coming fast, and knowing this stuff is the first step to having a say in what it looks like.